Bryan confirmed there were some incidents at a brewery in Pennsylvania, aggressive flirting with a couple of female bartenders that made them extremely uncomfortable enough that this information was in the system and was flagged at the door. So is this kind of behavior or track record with women significant as law enforcement builds a case and a profile?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, this is something that needs to be explored thoroughly. And let me give you one more if you like that one. For me, this case has really struck me recently when we found out about what this guy's age is. He's 28. It's really hard for me to fathom that he's just getting started perpetrating this kind of behavior at 28 years of age. I'm not inside the room with the police officers making the decisions about this, but they need to take a real long, hard look at his history in Pennsylvania. They need to go to various properties he's lived at. They need to take a look at this guy very, very carefully and see if there's anything that can tie him back to any other instances. You don't get this sudden escalation in violence like this, in my opinion, at least, it seems to be so well thought out.
Wow, that's chilling insight. So we know one of the victims was brutally attacked with a knife more than the others. So how do investigators build a case for a motive in this quadruple murder?
Well, that's the thing about it. I'm glad you brought up the idea of motive because, in court, you don't have to prove motive. But what you do have to prove is that he was the perpetrator of the crime. And of course, being a forensic scientist, I'm going to rely upon that. I want to know the numbers. I want to know, his connectivity vis-a-vis any kind of biological tiebacks that there are there, and probably his methodologies that he employed while he was perpetrating these crimes. Again, this goes back to any kind of linear connection he might have in his recent past or distant past and all of these various locations. And those are going to be specific tiebacks that are going to be very foundational. Again, motive is not necessary in court. It's great to have. We see it as a device in entertainment, but it's not necessarily something that you have to have in court. Yeah, and again, Kelly, I'm glad that you mentioned the idea of system. He's not a forensic scientist. He has not been studying forensic science. There was an article that came out earlier today where it was conflating, I think, some of his studies with the study of forensic science. Nothing could be further from the truth. He's a studier of behavior. That's what he was going into, criminal behavior, all right? Forensic science and those things are not the same thing. So he's not going to have the same skill set, say, for instance, as somebody that would have worked in the forensic sciences. He might have an understanding, at least from a spectator point of view, from how crime scenes are processed, but he's not going to know everything, trust me, in this particular case. He is going to be limited in his knowledge of forensic science. He may have made attempts by virtue of what he's seen or witnessed or heard in the classroom to mask some behaviors, but I can almost promise you he's left some trace behind. That's how they've gotten their hands on him at this point, and that's how this tale is going to be told. Well, I think that we're products of the environment, in which we are introduced into. He has an interest, obviously, in the study of criminal behavior. And the fact that he went to such a fine scholar as Catherine Ramsland to sit there and be in her class is not necessarily surprising. Again, you can't, not you, but just in general, you can't conflate, his worldview with those of us that study behavior and criminal behavior and also forensic sciences. He just sought out the information just like any other accused might that has been accused of some kind of horrific crime. You're going to go and sit around and try to learn what you can about how things, if you're looking to defeat a lock in a residence or something like that, wouldn't it be cool if you could learn it from a locksmith or see what they do? It's essentially the same thing, but in very broad terms, he's in a scholarly environment. He's not in an applied environment where he is learning from point A to point B to Z about how the process necessarily works. It's a very broad-banded kind of environment that he's in. So the fact that he went there, he's a Pennsylvania resident, it's not too far away. is kind of interesting. I think what's more interesting to me at this point is why Washington State, fine school, but why did he choose to travel all the way across the country? What was there someone else's feet he was seeking to sit at to learn more out there? Why so far away from Pennsylvania? There are a number of fine schools up in the area where he comes from, where he could have gotten the same education. I'm just wondering why he chose to go to Washington State. And, I think that the police are exploring a lot of that. Keep in mind, this was only his first semester of doctoral level studies at this point. So is there some kind of connection to the victims and his desire to want to go to Washington State? And I think that's something that these investigators are going to explore all the way down the line.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.